On this episode, Nova Southeastern University announced a new pronoun policy. Well-known Bridgerton series Julia Quinn made an appearance here at our campus and spoke with us. And lastly, the men's soccer team shed a light on what we can hope to see from them this new season. I'm Mia Alvarado.
And I'm Pablo Carrillo. Welcome back, Sharks.
Up first, NSU recently announced a new pronoun policy. Students now can be vocal on how they would like to be addressed. Our reporter Sarah Manko spoke to our fellow Sharks to learn what they think.
President Hembury recently issued the new preferred name and pronoun policy here on campus, and I'm here asking students how they feel about it. Are you aware of the new policy about preferred name and pronouns here on campus?
Yes, I am.
How do you feel about this new policy?
I think it's great that people are able to express who they are and be able to just stop confusion and make sure everyone is comfortable on what they want to be called.
I think that's awesome, that everyone should be able to be called whatever they would like, and it should be up to the person.
Honestly, I think it's just a step forward, going with that because, as you can know, Florida does a lot of anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ bills, and I feel like that is just a step further to help us students feel safe. And I'm really happy with it. So
I think it's really great. I like that NSU is taking a step forward to being more inclusive and letting students actually identify the way that they want to. So I definitely think it's a great opportunity for all of our students to actually identify the way we want to on campus.
How do you feel about this new policy being introduced?
I have no preference on it. I don't really care.
I think it's very inclusive to the community who doesn't feel seen, and I also think that it can help us to kind of ease our way into it and help anybody feel adjusted or seen.
Many students are accepting of this new policy, with one student even mentioning the impact it has on the LGBTQ+ community. How do you feel about the timing this policy was introduced?
Maybe it could have been sooner, but the good thing is that it's happening.
I think we needed it a while ago, so the fact that it's now a thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's slay, love that. But I feel like it should have been a thing a few years ago, but I support it.
I feel like it's a good timing because, times have changed and everything is changing. So it's good that, people are being more aware about things like this.
It might not be the best time, but, it's always better right now, so it's a good time.
How do you feel about the timing this policy was introduced?
I think with any sort of policy, it's kind of hard to find a perfect time. I think as long as you're doing it at all, I think it's important. So,
students can submit their preferred name and pronoun through self-service banner via SharkLink. I am Sarah Manko with Mako TV.
Thank you, Sarah Manko. Mia, have you heard of this new bacteria that is spreading?
I've only heard of how this kind of bacteria enters our systems through open wounds. Did you know that?
I didn't hear about that, Mia, but luckily our reporter Madison Casper has more details with Dr. Arti Raja on this weekend's Mako Media Health Update. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the Health Update. I'm Madison Casper. Here with me is Dr. Arti Raja, Mako Media's Health Advisor. Welcome, Dr. Raja.
Thank you, Madison, for having me.
Our topic today is a bacterium found in wounds. Dr. Raja, what is this bacteria?
So this is, the bacterium is called Vibrio vulnificus. It is a bacterium that is commonly found in brackish waters, which is basically water that's a mix of fresh and salt water. And unfortunately, this bacterium does live there, but if humans come in contact with this bacterium, or certain humans, if you have an open wound and you come in contact with this bacterium, then it's likely going to lead to some kind of an infection.
So what are some of the signs and symptoms of the infection?
Sure. So the initial signs and symptoms are just going to be the usual with any infections, basically high fever, but then it can progress very rapidly in this case to beyond fever, to stomach cramps and dizziness and a whole series of complications following that.
So with that being said, how does this affect college students?
So this can be a problem when we live in areas where it is common to see mixing of fresh water and salt water, or after a storm, for example, when you have a storm surge in certain locations, you tend to have this brackish water show up. And in an area, and we do live in that kind of an area down here in South Florida, and with college students, if you're out on the beach or if you're out walking around and you choose to go barefoot, or you happen to have a wound and you're coming in contact with this brackish water, then that puts you at risk for infections from this bacterium.
So how can someone prevent getting this bacteria?
So simple rule is if you have an open wound, don't go in brackish water. Just make sure you're not stepping out in that scenario. And these wounds, and I don't mean just on your legs, they can be even in your hands. Don't put your hand in that kind of water. And if you have to wade through because of some circumstance, then cover the wound up really well in a waterproof bandage, for example, and then step into that water if you really need to.
Now, are there any treatments for this infection?
Absolutely. So the key with this infection is treatment must happen pretty quickly. That's what makes it a horrific infection, because it can progress very rapidly into a dark scenario. But the good news is there are antibiotics available. So there are two kind of levels of treatment. So an individual, if taken to the hospital, they can get what's referred to as doxycycline, and then they'll add another third generation, they're called third generation cephalosporin antibiotics. But the combination of these two is really good treatment that will work very well in taking care of the problem.
Do you have any final thoughts?
So again, the basic idea is if you happen to live around an area where there is brackish water and you have to get down and get into this situation, make sure you don't have open wounds, don't come in contact with that water if you have open wounds. And if you do, then ensure that your wounds are well wrapped in waterproofing bandages before you can step into that scenario.
Thank you, Dr. Raja.
Thank you, Madison.
This has been the Mako Media Health Update. I'm Madison Casper. See you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Raja and Madison. Next, we have our sports update. We have Santi Finochietto joining me to discuss the current sports updates and our Sharks this upcoming season. Hi, Santi. How are you?
I'm doing really good. What about you, Pablo?
Very good. What's going on with sports here at NSU?
There's a bunch to tell, starting with men's soccer. Despite the tie with Lynn University this past Wednesday and a 3-1 record, the NSU men's soccer team is just 2 games into conference matchups. We got an exclusive Mako TV interview with Cyan Andrade and Fabio Hassler and went over this year's expectations.
Despite a rough start this fall, the NSU men's soccer team awaits a successful and thrilling 2023 season.
Obviously, we started not how we wanted. We had a really good start. It turned out to be the result that we weren't expecting, but from there we're building up, and I think we're getting better every game.
This year, the Sharks, commanded by head coach Matt Watts, faced the challenge of being a strong and competitive squad regardless of the 16 new players and few returners.
We have a really solid team. It's always been just about getting the groove going, getting the rhythm going, playing together, understanding each other. And I think the relationship and the group that we have, combined with the background, combined with the quality, combined with the staff bringing in the good information that we're getting every game, I think that's unique.
As of now, having only played 2 conference games and coming off a tie this past Wednesday with Lynn University, the team holds a 3-2-1 record that they look to improve on as the season goes on. Midfielder number 14 Cyan Andrade made it clear which are this year's goals and expectations.
The expectations are really high. We know the program's been successful in the past. We want to top that off. We want to go further, the NCAA, and hopefully lift the trophy at the end.
Defender number 22, Fabio Hassler, noted what will likely be the key to win aside from the tactics and game style.
We show character so far, and I think those are like this is going to make the difference within the season, because not always the best team is going to win the games. The team that has the heart and the character is going to win those specific games.
The Sharks will head down to Miami Shores to face Barry University in a conference rivalry game on Saturday at 7 p.m. I am Tyler Monzon with Mako TV.
Thank you, Tyler Monzon, for that interview. This weekend, make sure you watch and support our women's volleyball team. This Saturday at 4 p.m., they take Embry-Riddle for conference matchup at the Rick Case Arena.
Thank you, Santi Finochietto, for keeping us updated.
Thank you, Pablo.
Mia, I heard there was a famous author here on campus.
That's right, Pablo. For major Bridgerton fans, the author was right here in our very own Alvin Sherman Library. Here's Madison Casper with the report.
Julia Quinn is an author known for writing the Bridgerton series of novels, which were later adapted into the ever-popular Netflix original of the same name. In an event where her fans were able to meet her and hear her perspective on being a renowned novelist, Quinn made an appearance at Nova Southeastern University's Alvin Sherman Library.
The NSU Library strive to be the research, cultural, and lifelong learning destination here in South Florida, and our goal is to bring this to them, to our NSU community, to our local Broward County community, to all lovers of literature. So we're really trying to connect everybody and have that cultural offering here at the library.
With society nestled deep into a digital age, Julia Quinn emphasizes the importance of reading books.
Reading is important, and reading for enjoyment is important, and I think a lot of people think that if you're going to choose to read a book instead of, say, watch TV or something, that it has to be hard or it has to be weighty in some way. Like, we don't allow ourselves to read for fun the way we allow ourselves to watch TV or go to the movies for fun, and I think that's crazy. I think reading should be a wonderful, pleasurable experience.
Quinn divulges her thoughts on the process of adapting her series into television.
You know, it was really easy because I just had a lot of trust in them. I mean, you don't tell Shonda Rhimes how to make television. She knows what she's doing, so I had no trouble with it.
After an intimate book signing with author Julia Quinn and distinguished guests, we headed over to the Miniachi Theater for the author book talk and Q&A session.
While at USC, you get invited to so many events, and I was like, why doesn't Nova have this? But they do, which is incredible. So you guys get to have the experience of being in California or being amongst Hollywood people here. So I'm pretty excited that you guys had it here.
Fans of Quinn shared their takeaway of this experience.
I really liked the part where she kind of puts herself in all of her characters. I thought that was really interesting that we kind of are all like the same in a way. I think it was a really cool way that she talked about herself and how she's also in these books, I guess.
She's so kind and so down to earth. She signed 2 books for me, which was nice. We took a really close and personal picture, and she gave me a bookmark, and then a really nice message dedicated to my book club. So she was so authentic and kind and welcoming, and it was a really, really nice experience.
Many attendees of the event detailed how they were inspired by Julia Quinn's work ethic.
I think the best takeaway is to follow your dreams no matter when you choose to follow it, because she was in med school at Yale, and she really wanted to be an author, but she ended up pursuing her passion. Even though you struggle, but you get to be happy every day. So as long as you do what you love, be a shark and do what you love.
Miss Quinn will be donating all proceeds from today's event to Equality Florida, which is in support of LGBTQ+ rights. I'm Madison Casper with Mako TV.
Thank you, Madison. That's everything for this episode of Mako TV.
You can catch our solo release videos on our YouTube at Mako Television.
You can also follow us on Instagram at NSU_Mako TV.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Bye, Sharks.